The following program is an opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear my shows all over the state of Alabama. From 5 until 9 a.m., I'm on WVNN in Huntsville. From 10 until 11, it's the fastest hour of radio anywhere on your radio dial on Talk 99.5 in Birmingham and in Montgomery on News Radio 1440. And then you can hear that show again 3 to 4 p.m. On 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, The Ump in Huntsville. So I'm basically everywhere. With me this week, not Mecca Musick.
Mo Music.
Mo Musick. Mo Brooks, former congressman from the 5th Congressional District. He's been a county commissioner. He's been a DA, a state representative. So we're going to jump into a lot of those issues and discuss them and what he's thinking about what's going on in the world today. Later on, and since we got a politician here, we're going to bounce out with another talk show host. Yaffe will be with us. We'll talk with him about a couple of things going on in the state of Alabama as well. So there's a lot to get into today. So let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's go ahead and get to the 2-minute warning. All right, Congressman Brooks, we got to talk about this. There is a election coming up. I don't know if you know that, November. This week, it has been decided it is going to be Trump versus Biden. An election everyone says they don't want, but everyone keeps going to the polls and saying, yes, give me more of this. It looks like we are going to have it. Congressman Brooks, there are two major issues when it comes to these individuals. One of them has legal woes out the wazoo. The other looks like he is on a different planet sometimes and then will randomly show up and have all the energy in the world. Which one of these guys' big issue is more of a liability for him?
Look, the only issue in this race will be 4 jury verdicts. If Donald Trump is acquitted, he wins. If Donald Trump is convicted and becomes a convicted felon, then the Democratic nominee wins. If you want to stir the pot a little bit, if Donald Trump is acquitted, but the Democrats dump Joe Biden and get somebody better, then you might have a competitive race.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you think this is basically on Donald Trump. The election is going to be about Donald Trump. If he wins, if he doesn't get convicted in any of his cases, he's got the path to victory. If he gets convicted, then he's in big trouble. Joe Biden's mental stability. I think they're going to continuously throw it back to the State of the Union, and then the rebuttal is going to be all the other things we've seen from Joe Biden over all of this. So, Congressman Brooks, do you think Joe Biden's with it? You've been in politics for a very long time. Is he mentally aware of what's going on?
Well, he's mentally aware if you want to have him as a next door neighbor or as a grandfather.
Okay.
But he does not have the mental acumen necessary to make the kind of decisions in a short period of time that presidents are sometimes faced with. And what's different between that grandfather and the president is that thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of lives may be at stake if, at that point in time, the president is wearing his commander-in-chief hat. Okay. And that's where Joe Biden is absolutely lacking.
Good analysis of that. All right, let's move on to the second issue here today. Let's talk a little bit about Katie Britt. Now, full disclosure here, I endorsed someone else in the Republican primary against Katie Britt. His name was Mo Brooks. He's sitting right here. And Congressman Brooks ran against her as well. So let's talk about the criticism she's received over the last couple of weeks. Now, I've said this before. I said it to her on the radio this week. It was a little dramatic. It was a little much. And I asked, I said, do you wish you would go back and do it a little bit different? And, she kind of demurred on that and said you learn something through everything and you move on with that. I think that's a fine thing. The criticism of the speech itself, the delivery, I think is completely fair. The criticism of the words she said, like the sex trafficking and all this other stuff, they're pretending that we don't have any sex trafficking going on at the border. I think we all know that that's a little silly. She was chosen for this, I think, as a tryout for maybe VP, or at least the idea that she could be an important person in the Republican Party to go out and talk to suburban women. Is this fair criticism, Congressman Brooks?
Well, political gurus have long since determined for both parties that voters make decisions based on shallow imagery. And so what was the image that they wanted to create in this State of the Union address situation? They wanted a young female to represent the Republican side in order to have that contrast with old man Joe Biden. You can add what Senator Tuberville had to say is that they wanted a housewife image, and that was something that we saw Katie Britt tried to emulate. Two things to me, though, were important that haven't been focused on. One, if you notice her speech, she talked about problems, but she did not utter a single word about solutions to those problems that she brought up. I would have liked to have seen her offer a contrast between our solutions that work and theirs that don't. Third, look at what we're talking about, folks. We're not talking about the weakness of Joe Biden's position. All the focus has been on the Republican rebuttal with Katie Britt, and that has worked, in my judgment, to our disadvantage. The focus needed to have been on Joe Biden, not on something else. Focus on Joe Biden, his age, his failing policies makes it easier for us to win.
Are you surprised he didn't get a polling bump at all for this? He came out, I think he seemed insane. I mean, just personally, and it was a completely different Joe Biden than Are you surprised he didn't get a polling bump?
Well,
the media loved it. He had all this energy and fire and all this other stuff, but no bump. Are you surprised by that?
If you look at the polling and contrast apples to apples, same entity doing the polling now versus pre-State of the Union, nobody gained anything.
Right.
And that's why I say it's pretty much baked in. People have made up their minds, with the one exception of there'll be some people who shift from Donald Trump to Joe Biden if Donald Trump becomes a convicted felon. So it's all down to these jury verdicts.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on. Let's talk about immigration here for a second. This continues to be an issue here, but I want to get into a very important part of this in just a second. Joe Biden was asked about this, and he was asked, are you going to use these executive orders to fix this? And he said he just thinks the border will fix it itself. I think what he meant was Congress will eventually come up with something bipartisan. Congressman Brooks, you can tell us if that's possible here in a second, because you were there for a while, and I didn't see any bipartisan immigration bills coming out of there, nor do I see one coming now. But there's also another part of this that I think is pretty important. He touts all these jobs that have been created. You and I were talking about this week. The amount of jobs that have been created, that doesn't tell the whole story, because those jobs actually play into this immigration conversation.
Absolutely. And I'm very concerned that the news media has dropped the ball on what is probably the number one economic story of the last 20 or 30 years. Maybe 2008 bank crisis would exceed this. Maybe Jimmy Carter and the economic malaise in the 1970s would exceed this. But here's some shocking information. Federal government data, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Comparison. Fourth quarter of 2019, 4 years later, fourth quarter that we just finished of 2023. 2.7 million jobs were created. And of course, Joe Biden's claiming all the credit in the world. Here is the problem. American-born citizens lost 200,000 jobs over that 4-year period. People who were born outside of America gained 2.9 million jobs. So this is a real travesty for American-born citizens that the last 4 years of this economy has treated them so poorly. And the people who've been hurt the most are African Americans. That's because of our open borders policy, where tsunamis of cheap foreign laborers are coming into our country, blue collar and white collar. And the Huntsville community is primarily white collar. That's suppressing the wages of our middle class white collar workers.
You see that in the tech sector too, right? You see the immigrants come over for
across the board. And those are shameful numbers, and the news media is not making hay with it.
Bipartisan solutions. Yeah, you were there from, I believe, 2010 until 2022. Is that correct? Yeah, you were there that long. Any real chance a bipartisan solution was ever going to get done in that time?
Yeah, the Gang of Eight amnesty bill that 4 Republicans, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham being 2 of the prominent ones, and 4 Democrats came together with, that myself and Senator Jeff Sessions were instrumental in killing.
Okay, all right, that was the other one. All right, let's move on. One more subject here, Space Camp. Now, this issue has been going on for quite some time, maybe longer than we know, but now there has been a complaint made by a parent, and it got the attention of elected officials. It got the attention of Space Camp. Obviously, that there is someone, a biological male, that was working in the living spaces of the young females 12 to 14 years old. And people obviously had a problem with this. I think that's a pretty obvious thing that people are going to gripe and complain about because it's not good. It's not something we should be doing. And then you argue, well, they're transgender, so they're actually a woman. That once you're getting into that argument, I think you're just making the problem worse at this particular point in time. We could talk mostly about Space Camp if we want to, but I wanted to ask you a bigger question on this. You can talk about Space Camp if you want. What's up with our institutions? I've been saying this for a while. Our institutions are completely out of step with our society. They're no longer reflective of our society. They're trying to drive it in a certain direction. That goes for the news media, a lot of government, bureaucrats especially, entertainment, etc., sports, all these things. All of our institutions seem like they're trying to push us one way than the other. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you got to give credit where credit is due. The anti-moral value wacko wing of society has been working diligently in the political arena to foist their amoral and immoral agenda on the American people, and they've been working while the other side of the coin hasn't been working. And so that wacko wing, anti-science wing, anti-biology wing has had strident successes.
And I think that's true. I think you have seen just a real movement of our institutions to the left. And I think that's the rise of Trump, I think, is a reaction to that. It was originally in 2016 was a reaction to some of that stuff, in my opinion. On this particular issue, Space Camp, are they going to take a reputational hit from this, or when this is fixed, it just goes back to we love Space Camp?
They're taking a reputational hit. They're going to take a financial hit. And how bad that reputational and financial hit is, short-term or long-term, depends on how they respond. But there are a lot of parents who believe in moral values who are shocked, and in no way, shape, or form do they want their young, impressionable adolescent children anywhere near this kind of sexually promiscuous environment.
Okay, I think you're right about that. I've seen a lot of people say they're not sending them kids from Hartselle. I know we're going, and a bunch of them dropped out, and I think there were a lot of questions about whether we were going to see more of that. Congressman Mo Brooks, the former congressman from the 5th Congressional District, is here with us. We got Yaffe coming up here in just a moment. We'll check in with him and talk about a couple of things here in the state of Alabama. Stay tuned.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. And my friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom, Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improve range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Do you have diabetes? If you have insurance, you may qualify for a new continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends, spend more time in range, significantly lower your A1C, and share important data with loved ones and caregivers. Most importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Take charge of your health. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and have seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for a CGM today. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances cover continuous glucose monitors, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the CGM Health Hotline now.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I'm Dale Jackson. With me this week instead of Mecca Music, we have Congressman Mo Brooks. We're going to be speaking with Yaffe here. He's the talk radio host at WVNN in Huntsville, and we're thrilled to have him here on the program. Yaffe, we were just discussing the space camp situation. I know I've been discussing this on my show. I know you've been discussing this a lot as well. Are you surprised, as I'm surprised, that as of the recording of this is still ongoing? This seems like there's such a simple solution here. And I'm not even in the camp saying, fire this person, you must get rid of them. I don't think that was the solution. But there could have been a solution here. Are you surprised this has gone on as long as it has?
The only reason I'm not surprised is we've seen this before, where there's such a pushback either from some kind of government institution or by the left who say, oh, you're against this, well, you're transphobic. We're going to push this no matter what you say. So in a common sense world, yes, there would be a fast solution. But in many ways, in situations like this, we don't live in that common sense world anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. We've seen some politicians come out and make their statements on this. Congressman Brooks, I want to ask you this. If you were a member of Congress right now, would you be able to exert pressure on Space Camp to do maybe what you want them to do here?
Not as much as the governor or state legislators can, because they control directly or indirectly some of the funding and certainly the appointments of the people who govern Space Camp. In Congress, the best relief that you can give is to try to change the laws that ostensibly give this man who mistakenly believes he's a woman the right to force that imagery on young, impressionable kids in a work environment. Now, I think that's wrong. But it'll be hard because, of course, the Socialist Democrats are all in on this wacko, amoral stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But when the Republicans have the opportunity, unfortunately, we don't act with the kind of force and clarity that we should.
Yaffe, are you surprised that Governor Kay Ivey's been silent on this? Because, like Congressman Brooks said, she appoints people to this board. She has a say in this. Are you surprised she's been quiet?
Yeah, I actually am a little bit surprised by that because you're right. You've seen, like Congressman Dale Strong talk about it. You've seen some state lawmakers talk about it. But it needs Kay Ivey's voice. And she hasn't said much. And I don't really understand why, because usually she's pretty good on this issue.
Mac Butler from Rainbow City, which I find to be hilarious personally, that Rainbow City, he's the guy dealing with it. He has a bill that he wants to add Space Camp to, this whole divisive concept thing. You can't talk about gender and sexuality and all this stuff in classroom instruction. It's been called the Don't Say Gay bill. Not that that's what it actually is, and we've had that fight in Florida here this week. Mac Butler says he wants to add this to it. Slam dunk, or is this something that they're going to run into a roadblock on, Yaffe?
It should be a slam dunk. I'm sure Democrats will speak out strongly against it. But in the Republican-dominated legislature, I think it's a slam dunk, although it would not solve this particular problem. It's a good way to get attention to his bill, but it doesn't solve the problem at hand right now.
Yeah, that bill does not need attention if he wants to get it passed. Personally, I think that's one of those bills that you got to get through and not draw a lot of attention to it. Congressman, you served in the legislature down in Montgomery a long time ago. Probably before I was born. You and Joe Biden served together, I think. You guys, when I
thought it was Abraham Lincoln. I'm a Republican.
Okay, sorry. You and Abraham Lincoln served together. Are you surprised that the Alabama legislature wants to take something like this up? Like right now, are you
no,
shocked?
Not at all. This legislature is liberal, big spending in a lot of different ways, yet they're running as Republicans. So what they have to do is find some issue where they can market themselves as conservatives. And the moral value issues seem to be the place where the rhino wing, more moderate or liberal wing of our party coalesces so that they have something they can run on in the next election where they're trying to portray themselves as conservatives in a Republican primary.
That's actually a really good point.
Keep in mind, we've got all these gambling issues that are being pushed.
That's next.
We've got all these tax increases and fee increases that they've had over the last 5, 6, 7 years, a Republican legislature and a Republican governor. So they have significant weaknesses in a Republican primary, except to the extent they can make moral values a cornerstone of their campaign.
That's a really interesting point. Yavi, let's talk about gambling here for a second. There has been some movement on this. They do have to get together. Both chambers have passed a very, very different bills, and now they have to have it. Is the coalition of the gambling people, I don't know what to call them, the gambling yes votes from both chambers, are they going to be able to get something that's not going to lose a bunch of people and move this over the finish line? Is this the time they get it done?
I'm not optimistic, although this wasn't a huge priority for me to begin with. But the latest I've heard now is that a lot of Democrats are going to be out against this. Now you need Republicans against it as well, but if you can get enough Democrats on board against this, it's going to be difficult in the House, I think.
Congressman Brooks, like I said, you were down in the legislature. Money, okay, you're making the money sign here for people listening on the radio across the state. But Congressman Brooks, you were down there, and this gambling thing is nothing new. There was a vote like 25 years ago, I believe, in 1999. There have been talk of this since I've been here 17 years, 18 years almost. Is this where they get it?
Look, the history of gambling in the state of Alabama has come down to money. Mm-hmm. If you remove the monetary impact of the people who want to become rulers of fiefdoms, where they have a dog track or a horse track or a casino or whatever kind of gambling enterprise it is, if you remove that money, then all of a sudden regular citizens' voices have a greater impact on public policy and how House members and senators vote. For instance, if it's purely a lottery bill, there's not a whole lot of money to be made by people who want to be filthy rich because they've been able to buy votes to give them a monopoly that enables them to become filthy rich. When you look at the gambling issues over the decades, we have had a significant number of legislators who have been convicted in courts of felonies because of the effort to purchase the votes. Now, there are two ways to purchase it. One is illegal, and the other is legal through campaign contributions. Right. So I don't want to suggest that everything is illegal down there, but I'm sure there's a lot of money that changed hands before the election and will change hands again depending on what success people can have in spending a little bit of money that they think will make them rich as sin.
You know, the last time that happened, before Yaffe moved to Alabama, they had like the FBI and stuff down there when they were getting ready to cast these votes, and they threw the whole thing into chaos. That has not happened here yet, where you've had that conversation. Do you think if they do come up with anything that includes like anything from just a lottery by itself and nothing else to a lottery with casinos on every corner, if it gets on the ballot, do you think it passes?
I hope it does not, because I do not believe that the promotion of gambling is a proper function of the government. Mm-hmm. But if it is a gambling bill that helps to keep the gambling process as clean as possible, then you have the best chance of passage. Not something that is corrupt, that sets up these fiefdoms for whoever is going to have purchased these casino rights, right, giving them a monopoly in a region of our state. The government has a role, regulatory, trying to make sure that everything's on the up and up, trying to make sure that the gamblers understand what the odds are so they can make informed decisions, trying to make sure that the gamblers aren't scammed, that they aren't cheated in some way. So the government has a role, but creating monopolies to make people rich, that's not it.
But if you put it on the ballot, yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
Last time it failed.
Okay, last time it failed. You know, it was always said to me it failed by 4% was the thing. You change one of every 25 votes and you change it.
The rallying cry was, Don Siegelman, can you fix my lottery ticket?
Okay. That's actually really funny.
Well, it's because he was fixing speeding tickets.
I get it. Don Siegelman's corrupt. He was refereeing racially segregated softball games in jail. That's what he was doing. So, Yaffe, I know you're kind of just an unactive participant in this, but I'm going to ask you this: if they get something out, anything out of the House in the Senate, no matter what it is, gambling or lottery plus the status quo, all out casino gambling. Do you think if it gets on the ballot, it passes?
Yes, and mostly because of the lottery. Most people are going to see that. They're going to see they want a lottery. They don't have a problem with gambling, and they're going to say, yeah, let's get this done. They're not going to think about some of the deeper ramifications that Mo was talking about. It's just the political reality, I think.
I agree with that. That's exactly right and very smart, because I think what they'll do is they'll look at the lottery and say, I'll play the lottery. I'm not going to do this casino stuff. But
Time out.
Oh, go ahead.
If it's a special election, you got a different group of people showing up than if it's on a general election presidential ballot.
Fair enough.
Chances of it passing on a general election presidential ballot is much, much greater than a special election where people who still care about moral values show up and kill it.
Interesting.
So who's most motivated?
That's an interesting point. That's why we bring you here, Congressman. There you go. Congressman Mo Brooks, thank you very much. Yaffe, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on and checking out. Congressman Brooks, thank you very much for hosting. We hope to have you back sometime. Mostly I just hope Mecca never comes back. But then that'd be great. I'll be back with a party shot. Stay tuned.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improve range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. And my friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. We're about to get into the party shop. But before we do, let me tell you about my friends over there at YellowhammerNews.com. You can go there and get my 7 things you should be talking about every single day. You can get it in audio form, or you can read it. That's right. It comes directly to your email inbox, and it's right there ready for you every single morning. YellowhammerNews.com. Tons of other great stuff there. I make Yellowhammer Now videos and things like that. YellowhammerNews.com. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to that parting shot. My parting shot this week is directed at all the people who think this TikTok situation is simple. It seems simple. TikTok is basically brain cancer. I mean, that's what it is. It is infecting the minds of our young people. It is killing their attention span. But you could say that probably about any social media site, and they have been saying that about everything from video games to color television and all these other things as well. It's not so simple when there are other things in the bill that make people worry about what will be next. Talk of things that participate in election interference. Well, would that include Meta or Facebook, or would that include Twitter next? Would they love to go after that? I think there's people that would love to go after both of those entities, and there is some concern about that. Now, there are some angles that include being foreign owned or foreign controlled and things like that as well. There's a lot of issues here that make this very not so simple. There, of course, is the free speech side where we try to lean and say, hey, let's let people say whatever they want, do whatever they want. But then you also have to remember this. This is owned by the Chinese government. And they have a version of this in China. And it is not what you're getting here. Instead, what you're getting is nothing but cultural enrichment. And that's what they're selling their people. And then over here, we are getting brain rot. And that right there, it may be an issue here. Look how they activated these young people against the government when they talked about banning them. Just think about that piece of information when you're talking about this. I admit it's complicated. I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate when they take it up. But it's not as simple as people make it just ban it and it'll be done, because there's a whole bunch more that comes into it. I'd like to see it go. but that's just me saying I think this is bad for the country. But there are a lot of angles that come into this before you can pull that trigger. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching and listening to Alabama Politics This Week all over the great state of Alabama. We'll see you soon.